It had been an evening of rough and tumble with Tom the babysitter. Orbie found out that when Tom lifts you up like an airplane with his feet on your tummy, it can really tickle. Katie discovered that if you laugh too long, you get a funny feeling in the side of your stomach. And they all learned that if you're creative, you can have just as much fun tidying up as you had making the mess. They were in their pajamas and all ready for Tom when he came upstairs. He told the friends that they could have a story from a book, or he could make up a funny, spooky one. Well, immediately Katie declared she wanted a funny, spooky one. A really spooky one. Even though Tom's stories were always a lot of fun, Orbie wasn't quite so sure. Then Katie told him it would just be silly and not that scary, so he agreed. He wanted to be as grown-up as Katie about scary stories. Tom told the story of the giant green marshmallow man. Everything he touched turned into soft, gooey green marshmallow. Then people all over town got stuck to marshmallow park benches, swings, bikes, cars, and all sorts of other stuff. The only way to get unstuck was to say the word marshmallow backwards 3 times. Tom made all kinds of funny noises and actions to go with the story. He asked Katie and Orbie to help too, and together they made funny faces and also made the soft swishing sound of the marshmallow man when he walked. Each one of them tried to say marshmallow backwards. I can tell you, it wasn't easy. Wolem shram, wolem shram, wolem shram. There was lots of laughter streaming out of the bedroom that night. When it was finally time to turn out the lights, the giggles didn't stop. Katie tried, and so did Orbie, but every time they thought of Tom's funny faces and noises, they both started giggling all over again. As Katie lay on her bed, her head filled with the pictures of the green marshmallow man. At first it made her giggle, but then, when she was almost asleep, the green marshmallow man started to look scary. Very scary. Katie sat right up in her bed and shook her head. She was trying to get that picture out of her thoughts. She could tell that Orbie was asleep, and she could hear the soft sounds of the television downstairs. Now, I have to say that Katie knew Tom had just made him up. She knew it, but her imagination didn't seem to. She could hear Orbie sleeping in the closet. She could hear the television downstairs. But then she heard something else. It was a soft kind of noise that could actually be made by marshmallows rubbing together when the marshmallow man walked. This time she put the pillow over her head. She thought nice thoughts of playing hide and seek with Orbie outside. He was hiding and she was trying to find him. She knew Orbie was behind a bush. Just as she was about to look on the other side of the bush, a huge marshmallow man jumped up in her dream and she shouted, "Help!" Well, Katie woke up right away. Her call for help had awakened her and had awakened Orbie too. In the darkness, Orbie hurried over to her, and for one scary moment, she thought he was the green marshmallow man, turned pink. But when he burbled her name, Katie relaxed. It really was Orbie. In a whisper, she told Orbie all about her bad dream with the marshmallow man. Orbie gave Katie a big hug and told her there was no such thing. He told Katie that he would sit on the bed until she found a happy dream and fell asleep. He would make sure that no marshmallow man, even if he didn't exist, would come near her. Well, Katie felt so much better with Orbie there that she rolled right over, pulled the covers up, and within seconds was fast asleep. Orbie sat there thinking about the silly green marshmallow man, chuckled quietly to himself. It was really funny. He looked at Katie and realized that she was sound asleep. So, with a huge yawn, he made his way over to the closet. He heard Katie sleeping and the soft noises of the television downstairs. He was just nodding off when he realized that he heard something else too. Something that sounded like marshmallows rubbing together. With a fast flip, Orbie jumped down and raced over to Katie's bed. He jumped in and surprised Katie wide awake. She yelled, and Orbie yelled because she did. And they both grabbed each other. Then Tom opened the door and flooded the room with light. Katie and Orbie felt better right away. Tom asked what was wrong. Orbie burbled what had happened. Tom told him that the Marshmallow Man didn't exist. The two friends nodded their heads. They knew that. Katie explained that there was a noise that sounded a whole lot like Marshmallow Man in the room. Orbie added, especially when the lights were out. So Tom turned the lights out and sat with them, and they all listened. In the dark, they all heard the television and each other breathing, but there was nothing else for a moment. Then the noise started again. Tom slid off the bed and headed over to the toy box. There was a crack of light shining through the door so Katie and Orbie, who were clutching each other, could still see him. With a meow sound, the noise stopped. Tom had found their Marshmallow Man. He turned on the light, and in his arms was a very sleepy Chance. Tom explained that Chance had been purring. Their imaginations had made the purring sound like the marshmallows. Katie and Orbie, who were feeling much better, relaxed. They'd been afraid of something that usually made them feel very safe, the sound of Chance's purring. That night they slept soundly and had one happy dream after another. And I hope that if you are ever afraid of something in the night, you'll find out exactly what it is. Then you will feel better about it. That way you can get a really good sleep. And I know that you'll have some very sweet dreams.
Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Fog is just like clouds that have come down for a visit. Fog can be wispy or very thick. When the air is kind of warm and the ground is cool, you see fog all around. You'll see fog, but you won't see much else.